In today's video, I'm going to show you how to scale any social media ad campaign, make it more profitable, and spend less money on it in the process. Let's go. We are going deep in the trenches today, buddy. All right, first, let me address the elephant in the room that might be in the room. I don't know. You never know, elephants, what they're going to do. But you might have heard me say a minute ago, I'm going to show you how to scale your ads and make them more profitable by spending less. And you might be like, wait a minute, dude, how do you scale your ads by spending less? Like when you scale, you're supposed to spend more. Well, technically, sure, you can spend more if you want, but I would rather scale your profits. So why don't we focus on good old-fashioned profits? What do you say? All right, let's get to it. This is unbelievably cool. What you see on the screen right here, you're looking at a custom tracking and automation app that I had built for myself so I could accurately track 100% of the sales that came from all of my social media campaigns. And I could automate the management of my social media campaigns so it could essentially do the work of like me multiplied by 1,000 without me having to stay up 24/7 staring at my screen and hitting refresh. The app is called ROAS.org. If you want to try it for yourself, I think you're going to love it. You can do that for free. No credit card needed. It's awesome. It automatically scales your ads. It turns off the stuff that's not working, and the stuff that's questionable, it sends them a secret little money signal. I'll show you in a minute. Not only can you try this thing for free with no credit card needed, if you want us to set it up for you, we will do that for you too, for nothing. We just think if you use this thing, you're going to love it, and you're going to become a customer. It's kind of like the oldest trick in the book, right? Demonstrate you can help people by actually helping people. But let me help you right now. Okay, let me show you how to scale your ads, make them more profitable, and spend less money in the process. Let's go. What you're looking at on the screen right here is a before picture. Okay, so imagine like, you know how they have the weight loss things before and after. By the way, if anyone needs a before picture for weight loss ads, I got you. Okay, I'm not good at the after picture, but I'm awesome at the before picture. Okay, anyway, this is a before picture. All right, this is before I implemented the cool stuff I'm about to show you. Of course, I'm going to show you the after picture too, but if you look at it, you know, like right off the bat, it looks like things are going pretty good. Spent $8,200, made $1,500. You know, I mean, for every dollar I put in, I got $1.87 back. It's not bad, especially because it was like a 6-day period. Like, okay, but all right, I don't want to sugarcoat things because it was a little bit ugly. All right, so one of the cool things about ROAS, a lot of cool things about it, but one of the really cool things is it allows you to really know what's going on, like down to the penny where your sales are coming from. And in this case, it's really important we know because you're about to see that not everything looks as good, or not everything is as good as it looks here. Okay, so there we go. What I'm doing right now is I've filtered out all of the campaigns that are selling something called a 4-course bundle. And so these campaigns you're looking at on the screen, these are the main campaigns that I run top of funnel. All right, so this is me showing total strangers an ad where I'm selling 4 marketing courses for $4. It's not really meant for me to make a bunch of money right off the bat. Instead, it's meant for me to get some customers, put my best foot forward, create a good relationship with them so they'll buy more stuff from me for years. Kind of, again, like classic business 101. But for the sake of this video, I want to use these campaigns to show you how this method works, because I want to let you see like really behind the scenes of the real stuff, because I really don't think most people show you how things actually work when they're running campaigns. They just show you, you know, their wins or whatever. But let's look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, so these are all of those campaigns. Now, some of them were turned off. I want to do something for you real quick, and that is I want to show you something very helpful. All right, so what I've done is I just sorted all of these by how much money was spent on each campaign. And you can see, like, now that we're looking at it, this isn't as good, right? So it looked better, but now, like, we look at all of these campaigns specifically, well, it only made 1.26. For every dollar I put in, I got 26 cents back. But that's not really true. Because if you look closely at the screen, I feel like a magician. If you look closely at the screen, you'll see stuff like this at the bottom. Like, dude, what is this? Right? Like, how come you spent $0 and you made $1,771? What is all of this stuff? I'll tell you what it is. These are sales that came in during this date range right up here from people who had clicked on these ad campaigns before and then bought something during this date range. So ROAS is tracking them. And the reason we programmed it this way is so dummies like me can make a video like this and be like, wait a minute, maybe I should turn this back on. But I can't I can't really count this money within like this spend, right? Because it would be cheating. And it's like, wait, no, we can't count these sales for the total return on ad spend right here because it would make it look cooler than it really was. So let me show you the real thing, because the real thing's not pretty. No before pictures are pretty, by the way. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to look bad. So look at this. I'm just going to select the ones that we actually spent money on during this date range. So what we got? 6 of them right here. Okay, so some worked out, some didn't, but together, let's look at the average. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to look at just all of the ad sets for all of these campaigns combined so we can see how they did, okay, to give you an accurate before picture. All right, this is really going to be helpful to you, by the way. So get rid of that little filter there so it'll show everything. And here we go. So look at all these ad sets. Like there's a ton of them in here. So each one of these campaigns has like over 100 ad sets. Not necessarily. Some of them have like 15 or 20. But altogether, we're talking about hundreds of different ad sets combined within all of these campaigns, which is a lot to manage, which is why I really recommend you use an automation tool like ROAS, but only if it gives you accurate tracking, because running automations on bad data is just bad automations. But check this out, right? Now that we can see it, and I'll sort it here just so we can see like that some of them worked and stuff. So like some of them really did well, you know, I spent $3 and got $346. That's pretty sweet. But we'll talk about that later. But look at this. All right. So these campaigns where I actually spent money, I spent $5,600. I only brought in $5,100. I didn't make money. For every dollar I put in, I only got 89 cents back. Now, still, like with my business model, that's not bad at all. I'll take it because my customers tend to be repeat customers. But still, I'd rather get customers at a profit, and I'm about to, because now let me show you the after picture. Okay. Oh, but before I do, keep this number in your mind, 0.89. That's a bad ROAS. All right. So remember, 5,600, 0.89. Okay. Now let's look at the after picture. All right. Okay, so now we're looking at another 6-day date range. I wanted to compare apples to apples, right? So it's another 6-day date range. And I want to show you the exact same campaigns. So we didn't change anything, okay, during this after picture. All right, so first let me pull the campaigns up again. And here we go. So I've got them all pulled up, did the filter, and now I'm just going to do the same ones. These are the ones that we actually spent money on right here. Okay, I'll get rid of this one. And we've got this one, so we should have a total of 6. Yep, we do. We've got a total of 6 there. And again, like, look, we have some that brought in money, and these campaigns were off. And it's really important that you're able to track that, because look at this. Like, as I'm making this video, I'm going, dude, I really need to go back and look at this and turn this thing back on. What was I thinking, right? But we'll deal with that another time. Let me show you this after picture, because this is cool, and then I'll show you how to do this. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing, which is we got all these campaigns selected. These are the ones that spent money. It looks like, you know, on paper, like, oh man, it was really way better. And it was, but I don't want to count this stuff, right? Because that would be cheating. I only want to do the campaigns that we're spending money. So here we go. Now look at the difference, okay? So the first 6-day period, the before picture, everything's the same. All right, same ad set, same campaign, same offer, same ad, same everything. The before picture, we spent $5,600 and we made like less than 0.9 return. So we lost money. The second 6-day period, the after picture, we spent less money right here. We spent only $1,687, and our return on ad spend in total was almost double what it was before. So it went from 0.8 something to 1.56. So we went from losing money to now making 56 cents for every dollar that we put in. How did it happen? What did we do? Well, we used automations. Specifically, we used micro automations. And I want to show you how to do this right now, because this is, without question, a total game changer. All right. And I think if you do this in your campaigns, of course, assuming you're like sending traffic to stuff that works or whatever, I think you're never going to look back. I think it's totally going to change the game for you. It's changed the game for me. I think it'll change the game for anybody that uses it, because when you're doing what I'm about to show you, this is like having the world's greatest, most analytical, most conscientious, and diligent media buyer ever in history working exclusively on your account 24/7. It's ridiculous. So let's go. So in the interest of all transparency, there are other tools that can automate stuff on social media. There's great tools out there that can automate stuff. ROAS.org is the only one that also gives you accurate tracking. So there's no point in saying, hey, if my ad's not making money, then lower the budget. If you're not actually knowing whether or not the ad's making money. So this is the only thing on the planet that can do what I'm about to show you. So number one, we know right here. Look, so I'm going to sort these by return on ad spend. I know how much every single ad set, every single campaign is making me to the penny because it's tracking. Only when you have that accurate of data should you ever do these automations. So if you don't have accurate data, don't do it. It's going to mess you up. If you've got accurate data, then do it. So really simple, all right? And the same equations are going to apply whether you're using ROAS or not, okay? So don't think the only way you can do this is if you use ROAS. I don't know how else you could do it, but if you figure it out, good for you. All right, so in here, this is all we're going to do. The very first thing, there are 3 things you want to automate, by the way. And you can automate all kinds of stuff. You can go crazy with this. But these 3 core things are the ones that can change the game for you. The very first thing we want to do is we want to pause the stuff that's not making money. And we want to do it before it has a chance to go crazy and spend a bunch of money that we don't want to lose, right? You'll notice in that after picture, I spent way less money than I did in the before picture, and I ended up making a profit. We're here to make profit. We're not here to spend money. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to turn the stuff off that's not making money. All right? So that's really simple. What we do, we come over here, and you can do, like, when you're using ROAS, first of all, it'll have all of your campaigns selected. And so we don't want to apply these rules to every single campaign, unless you do, but I always deselect all. And what we're going to do here, since I run everything at the ad set level and I don't mess with CBO as much, I'm going to take it. I'm going to say, okay, I want to pause an ad set. All right. Now we could do other stuff too, but I'm going to say I want to pause ad sets if they're not making me money. All right. So simple. What I do is I say, okay, if the ROAS right here. All right. So I'll say if the ROAS, and you can do it for same day or whatever. So this is up to you. I like to give it a 7-day window because people buy stuff like after their initial purchase. You know, you have emails and things like that. So however long your sales cycle is. So I'm going to say, okay, if the ROAS for the past 7 days, all right, is less than 1, so if it's losing money, then I'm going to pause it. All right. So if I hit save right up here, that would turn that rule on, okay? But I would be crazy to do that because if I leave this on and I'm not paying attention, then I could create a new campaign and it could like spend $1 because it's just getting started, and if it doesn't make money immediately, it'll turn it off. So we got to add one other little thing in here. That's really simple. I want to say, okay, also, if my spend over, and I like to do everything on a 7-day basis because you know, you got to give ads time to do things. So I say if my spend over the last 7 days is greater than or equal to $20. All right. So this is how, incidentally, this is one of the ways that I'm able to run campaigns where I'm testing like 100+ audiences in one single campaign and not get hurt on it, is because, okay, if the dang thing spends over $20 and doesn't make money, it'll just turn it off. So it really minimizes your losses. And that's critical, right? If you ever run a campaign and you're like, oh, this is going to be great. And then you go back and you check in and you've spent like a whole bunch of money and it didn't make money. Well, if you use these types of automations, you protect yourself against that. It's really smart just to use them all the time. So now I've got this, right? Cool. So if any ad set spends over $20 over a 7-day period and it doesn't make money, it'll pause it. Great. All I'm going to do now is just select whatever campaign I want to apply it to, right? So that's the first one. And I want to hit save. Now, I want to show you the second thing. And the second thing we want to do is we want to scale the audiences that are good. Now, we can do this again. We could do it at the campaign level if you're using CBO, or if you're doing things on an individual ad set level like I do, you can do it at the ad set level. You just choose whichever one right here. So I'm going to do it at the ad set level. And now, all right, I'm going to say I want to increase the budget, because if things are working, we want to scale them, right? If stuff's making you money, you want to put more money into what's making money. Duh. All right. So here's a really smart thing to do. And this is what I mean by micro automations. Okay. Whenever you change your budget, whenever you like go into Facebook, you know, and it encompasses Instagram and all that stuff. I'm going to say Facebook. Whenever you go in there and you change the bid on something, you're sending a signal to Facebook's algorithm. And that signal saying, hey, this is cool, or hey, you need to work harder. But if you change it by too much at one time, it'll break, right? Well, it doesn't like literally break, but it could go off the rails. So the trick to this is to make little micro adjustments very frequently. Okay, that's kind of a secret there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to increase the budget by 5%. All right, I'm going to get rid of these. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to set it to increase my budget by 5%, which isn't a lot. That's what I meant when I said micro automations. And now I'm going to give it some criteria like, okay, what do you want to have? When do you want to make that happen? I'm going to say, well, dude, if my ROAS right here is, and I'm going to give it for, I like to let it, 7 days, right? So if my ROAS for the past 7 days is greater than 1, and you could do this based on your own criteria, it doesn't matter, then I want you to raise the budget, right? So in this case, I don't really need to check how much it's spent. If it spends $1 and it immediately makes $1.50 or $2 back, I want it to raise that budget a little bit because ROAS is ROAS, profit's profit, right? So the only thing I want to do now, and I want to point out to you, is I want to do this several times a day, all right? So I set this to happen every 6 hours, all right? So those campaigns you saw that are working, that went from like ew to like sweet, the reason they're working is because it's turned off the stuff that's no good. And then the stuff that is good, it's raising it up by just a little bit every 6 hours. So if it continues making money throughout the day, and that ROAS stays strong, over the course of the day, it's going to raise it by 20%. It just doesn't do it all at once. It's those little micro bids. And you can see here I am within an actual campaign on Facebook where it's running these micro automations. And all of these budgets here, they started out at $5. You can see like some of them have already been scaled up to $7. And this is just when it's making money, it just scales it up a little bit. You can see it's just done a ton of them there. So that's how these little micro automations work. All right. So within here, I'd be like, okay, it's set to schedule every 6 hours. This is great. I would choose whatever campaign I want to apply these to. And notice like when I select one, it has all of the ad sets pre-selected in there, and then I would hit save, and now boom, we're good. It's just like we've got somebody that's just compulsively checking your stuff 4 times a day to see if it's making money, and if it is, it's going to raise the budgets on them. There's no human in the world that's going to have the time to do this, right? But you can program a machine to do it if that machine's really cool, and that's what ROAS is, but we're not done. Okay, we still have one more little micro automation, and this one's like the holy grail one. It's not very glamorous, but man, if you've made it this far and you've watched me show you like math and stuff for this long, this is really going to be a good payoff for you. So here's what's going to happen. All right, notice I'm back in the ROAS app, and like cool stuff's going to happen. First of all, like look at how some of these audiences are just ridiculous. 39, I put $1 in, get $39 back, and these are all like little spends, right? So this is what ROAS is designed to do. It's designed to go out, test a whole bunch of audiences at low budgets, get as much return on ad spend as possible, and then scale what's working. But inevitably, we'll come across something like this. I'm going to scroll down and I want to find you a situation where we're in kind of the danger zone. And like here are 2 of them, right? So like this is an ad set and it's been running. I started it at $5 a day. It's been running a little bit, been scaling it up a little bit. And look, if it doesn't make a sale today or tomorrow or whatever, it's going to go from being profitable to not being profitable. And the same with this one, right? We've spent 109, we've brought in 120, and we've been scaling it up a little bit every day, and it's like getting dangerously close to not being profitable. Now, one option is just to be like, okay, if it's not making money, let's just turn it off. But that would be silly because it has been working before. Otherwise, it wouldn't have scaled it up. So there's one more little automation that we want to do that will take a campaign, or more accurately, an ad set like this one that's like starting to get a little bit, a little bit shaky, and it'll turn it around if it can be turned around. All right, and that's this. So check it out. So we're going to go back over here to automations. I'm going to click on new rule. And because we're doing everything at the ad set level, I'm going to select ad sets, make sure don't have everything selected there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tell it to decrease the budgets by 5% on ad sets like that one that were doing pretty good, but started to get shaky. All right. And the reason we're going to do that is because when you send a signal to Facebook where you're like, okay, decrease the budget on this thing, what you're telling the algorithm to do is work harder. And so that's literally like you're inputting something into Facebook's supercomputer. So when you do that, a lot of times the dang thing will actually work harder, and it'll start going out and it'll try to find better people within your audiences to sell stuff to. And a lot of times that'll cause things to turn around and it'll become profitable again. All right. So we're going to put this little automation in place. So what I've done is I said, okay, we want to decrease our budgets by 5%. We don't want to turn it off yet because it might turn around. We want to drop the budget by 5%. And here's the little thing that I want to show you. What we want to make sure of is we want to say, okay, if the spend over the past like 7 days, so I like to do things on a 7-day window except for this one little last part, okay? If the spend over the last 7 days, let's say, is greater than $30, all right. So these are the ad sets where like we're starting to scale them. They're not the new ones. They've proven themselves a little bit. We're starting to scale them up a little bit or whatever. They're hanging in there. Okay, but they're a little bit shaky. So if the spend over the past 30 days is greater than $30, and the ROAS, now this is important. All right, if our ROAS over the past 3 days, all right, is less than 1, we want to drop that budget by 5%. So here's what's going to happen. All right. On those ad sets like I just showed you, like they were surely looking pretty good a day or two ago. But then like their margins started to shrink. So what happens now is it's going to drop those budgets every day by 5%. And when it does, it's going to send that signal to Facebook and be like, hey man, you got to work a little bit harder. Now, if it keeps on going and it doesn't make money, then the other automation that says, hey, if it spends over $20 and it doesn't make anything over a 7-day period, turn it off, right? So if it does that, if it still doesn't make any money after a couple days, it's going to turn it off, but we're going to give it a little bit of a chance, all right, to do it. So only thing left to do is to say, how often do we want to make this little micro bid adjustment? I like to do it twice a day. All right, so we're going to drop our budgets by 10% a day. And then over time, if it still doesn't work, it'll cut it off because of that other automation we built. But those 3 things, right? That's what's responsible for the before and after that I just showed you. We went from spending a bunch of money and not making money to turning on these automations, same everything, to where we cut our spend down and we ended up being profitable. And now what's happening is just like I showed you when I went into the account, it's starting to scale those winners up every single day. And it's going to drop the losers down and it's going to turn them off if they keep losing. It's just like I said, like having a full-time, absolutely unbelievably conscientious, diligent, analytical, data-driven media buyer working for you 24/7, but they don't charge you those ridiculous fees. Go to ROAS.org and try this thing. You're absolutely going to love it. You don't need a credit card. You just set up a free account. You can use it for 7 days. If you like it, then you can become a paying user. If you don't like it, don't do anything. We'll just deactivate the account. You don't enter a credit card, so you're good. And if you need help setting it up, we'll help you set it up for free. It's easy to set up, but nobody ever follows the directions. So we understand that. I don't follow directions either. So we're here to help you set it up too for free. I think you'll love it. More importantly, I think you'll love the net effect of using this type of stuff on your campaigns. All right. Thanks so much for watching this admittedly technical, probably a little bit boring video, but man, if you stuck with me and you implement this, I think you're going to be super stoked. Take it easy. Happy hunting.